everybody. Welcome to When Calls the Hallmarkies. And this is a show where we are talking about When Calls the Heart. And we are almost at the finale. We're talking about season 11, episodes 10 and 11. Big time episodes. Huge, huge. And I am film critic Rachel Wagner, and Mary's here.
Hello.
How are you doing?
So things are so good. Things have moved. Things have happened.
Yes.
So I've been looking forward to this.
Yeah, I have to say, so people that I don't know how big the Venn diagram is between Bridgerton and When It Calls the Heart fans, but there's some. So if you're in that group like me, you might agree with me that for once When It Calls the Heart totally trumped Bridgerton this week. They was way better than.
That's what I've heard. There's like a Venn diagram, but then there's some of us. I'm a little too prudish. I'm worried what Bridgerton will do. Though I heard this season wasn't anyway. Yeah. So I kind of follow along, like, okay, what is happening? And from your, I saw all your stuff on social media clips, and I got to go listen to your, because I haven't watched the show, but I sometimes listen to the recaps that you guys do. So yeah, it was like this difference, in the universe. So.
Yeah, so they crushed it, man. When Calls the Heart, they got it. They won the week. They won the week. And I never thought I would say
if there was an award show for this week.
Yes.
Anyway.
But yeah, so episode 10, it's called What Goes Around. And
yes, I'm pulling up my notes on my phone.
Yeah. And this one is Allie makes a daring decision and Nathan and Elizabeth rush to intervene. Uncovered memories shift to Lucas's plans. Faith takes a big step and May cooks for Hickham's family. So overall, there's this is a good episode too. I feel like this episode is very like nuts and bolts episode.
Yeah.
We're getting a lot of plot.
Yes,
happening going.
There were a lot of different they get their own little stories, a lot of people, and these things move forward. I'd forgotten about a lot of that because I was so fresh in my mind. Sunday night's episode.
Yes,
but
we'll spend more time on 11 because it was great.
Things happen.
It was great.
But this one, let me think. I'm going through. There was some good stuff. There was poignant stuff with Allie and yes.
So basically, you have the main thrust of this. There's sort of two parts of this episode. First part is you have Allie sneaking off to go and try to meet with her father at the prison.
Yeah.
And so it seems like that's probably not the best choice when your dad is a Mountie, when you're dad, like
you're Uncle Nathan, your caretaker, your adopted, your father, your dad, your not father. Your birth father. When he's a Mountie, I know you'd think. I would just think that you would grow up with the sense of being raised by him.
I would think everybody at the prison is going to know who he is.
That's
like, what are you doing here?
You shouldn't be here. I did look up, by the way. So they said he's in Granville Prison, and my brain was like, I've heard Granville before. And I was watching Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. It was just on TV. I got sucked in,
it's a good one.
As one does. And at the end, they mentioned that the scene that's supposed to be Seattle is filmed at Granville Island Public Market in Vancouver, BC. So there is a Granville.
Yeah.
Maybe near the filming
I feel like I've heard that too, Granville.
There might be many. Yeah. People are probably listening thinking, you idiots, there's Granville, Miser Madison, that Miser Public Library, that Madison,
Yeah, right. But yeah, I think that it was a good little arc for Allie. I mean, I think that, that Jade is so good. And
this must have just
she
did
a great job. Yeah
because I thought, why now? Why is she fascinated now? But I have a 13-year-old, and sometimes it's just boom, I'm obsessed with this, and you're in my way, so I hate you. He's not listening.
And there's nothing like inherently wrong with visiting people in prison. That's not like a moral wrong.
No, that's true. It's an important thing for families. The saddest thing was Nathan knowing that this wasn't gonna end well, that
Yeah.
what's his name, her father's name,
Yeah.
didn't want to see her. um he knew that, and so I think he's trying to protect her. But if it weren't for that, yeah, I would say support her in going to see him in the prison. The fact that he
Hmm.
didn't want to see her was awful.
Yeah.
Awful.
Yeah. She's not going to be like influenced for negative, like I don't
Yeah,
know. There's like somehow this kind of like
yeah,
fear of like, oh, that's a bad person. You can't spend time with them. But
right.
like, we're actually like supposed to, support people that are
Yes.
that are
Yeah.
incarcerated.
Oh no, it's true.
Like that's a Christian thing to do.
It is. In fact, just today, as of this taping, we ran a story in the church news about new prison ministry resources from our church, saying,
Yeah.
here's some ways you can lovingly minister to incarcerated individuals, to their families.
Hmm.
There's some resources for you to navigate this. And I thought, what a good thing to do
Yeah.
something like that, because it seems like this little family needed something like that.
And have we ever figured out how old Allie is?
So is
I'm
she
so confused
14, 15 now? 16? How old is Robert? Is she like his age?
because
She's,
Robert is definitely over 16, I feel
yeah.
like.
And Allie is still in school, but she's also babysitting daycare full time.
Yeah.
What is that, the summer? I don't know what's happening.
I wonder if it says online just how old Jada is.
Yeah. Because I know girls can sometimes grow tall
Okay.
fast, so it's hard for me to judge.
So, yeah. So Jada is 17.
Okay. But is she
Yeah.
playing like 13, 14,
Because
15?
because back then I'm pretty sure that most most people were done school by like 16, 7. Like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
feel like you wouldn't still be
You
going to.
No, because Anne Shirley and Laura Ingalls Wilder both started teaching school at 15 or
Yeah.
16. They
Yeah.
started teaching then. They'd gone to like well, Anne Shirley went to Queen's Academy and got her teaching certificate. But
Right.
then she was 16 as she was teaching a one-room school. And Laura
Hmm.
Ingalls Wilder was 15. She finished. So
Yeah.
yeah, they'd probably be done.
Yeah. And I think that I can understand why Allie would want to just see what he, even if it's just like a fit, just see what he looks like. Just
Yeah.
just meet him.
Yeah.
And I guess it's just too bad that Nathan's fear kind of makes her have to take this sort of route to it.
To go, yeah, around behind his back, to call, to take a
Hmm.
train ride. Though I was like, kids today aren't that resilient where they can figure something out like that without a phone, without GPS, and
Hmm.
just be like, I'm going to buy a ticket. I'm going to head out. I'm going to do this. I'm going
Yeah.
to be bold.
Well,
So
there's a
kudos
whole
for that.
movement called free range kids that
Yes.
really encourages that in parenting,
Gosh.
like letting your kids like
I just want mine to go down the street to the park and play.
yeah,
And they're like, nah,
as
I like
much
it here.
there was a whole article, this was a couple of years ago, that was in, I can't remember which, New York Post, New York Times, something like that, where a free range parent talked about letting her child ride the subway alone.
Oh,
Like
yeah. People were
and
furious.
it was like, and people were so upset, and she's like, you did great, like it was a great experience. Like
Yeah.
I don't know, so everyone has their views,
Right.
but yeah, it is kind of an emerging movement, to it's good for there is some evidence to show that it is good for kids to
Problem
make plans
solve, and
themselves
yeah.
and
Mhm.
do things themselves and be independent and things like that in as safe a way as you can.
Yeah. Yeah. She went to a place where there were guards and, organization. If she was like,
Yeah.
he's in a hideout in the woods, I'm going to go visit him there with his robber buddies, then that would be bad.
Yeah. And it's not like nobody knew where she was going,
Right.
because
Though,
Angela
yeah.
knew, and
Elizabeth turns, Angela,
yeah,
do
that
you
took
know where
about five
Allie is?
seconds.
Allie's like, I broke. I couldn't help it.
And it was very sweet that Angela gives her money and she
Yes,
insists.
that's true.
Yeah. Nah, I thought that was sweet. So then the other big plot that we have going on in this episode is we have everything coming to a forefront, to a conclusion with the resort. And
Mm-hmm.
are we supposed to believe that the only reason that they're merging these two towns is because of the resort?
I
That's it.
don't know. I
That's kind of how
guess.
I felt. Like as soon as the is things are not going well. So, well, we're not going to merge anymore.
Yeah, forget it. The merger's off. Yeah, I don't know. I just keep going back to thinking about size of government and taxpayer dollars and
Yeah.
what really makes sense and well,
Like,
I don't know.
I mean, it's just a like if nobody is interested in investing, then it's probably not a good idea.
Exactly. Don't push it
Like
through. Yeah.
people like making money. And so if they like investing in things that are going to make them money. If
And it's
nobody wants to invest in this, it's probably not a good investment. Like
yeah, completely agree. Was this the one where they both mayors come up with or am I getting the episodes mixed up with the joint statement saying enough, we don't want the resort? Is that this episode or the next one?
yes, so that's in this episode.
Okay,
So
okay.
yes, so Maisie, she still thinks it's a horrible idea, and her so Lee is starting to get worried and says, there's no transparency. What's going on? The Jeanette is the last possible bidder, but Lucas is still sticking with it, and he says that if you're too small-minded to see what could happen here.
Yes.
And that's when Lee says, nothing good will come of this, my friend.
That's right.
And but Lucas is sticking with this resort.
That's right. I wrote he's fixated on building
Yeah.
it. And then he gets angry. That's
Yeah.
right.
I mean, everybody else in this fictional state, because there are no states in Canada, but in this state must be kind of bummed that their governor is spending
Never
all
like he
of his
never
time
in this the whole valley.
in the whole valley and on this resort. Like
He's not, he might as well just be a mayor. He's not governing a territory
yeah,
or whatever,
yeah.
land mass is a governor over. He's never in capital city. I keep
No.
thinking like, what? He's just still in his office.
Yeah, I mean the corruption is probably run rampant in capital city.
The cat's away and the mice are playing.
Right. Ho, ho, ho. We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcast, especially at Christmas?
Do you enjoy the holiday previews, recaps, interviews, and bonus episodes?
If the answer is yes, please consider supporting the Hallmarkies Patreon. We need your help to do what we do both during the Christmas season and all year round.
But not only do you help a podcast led by strong, independent women by becoming a Patreon, you get to become a part of the Hallmarkies family.
Starting at only $2 a month as a patron, you will have access to our Facebook Patreon group where we talk about the movies, shows, and more all year.
We also have many monthly patron watch-alongs with guests like Lacey Chabert, Natalie Hall, Paul Campbell, Mary Lou Henner, and more, giving their behind-the-scenes details of their films.
As a patron, you also have the chance to provide input into the podcast and even join us at different tiers.
So this Christmas season, spread some cheer to the Hallmarkies Patreon and become a member today. You won't regret it.
Go to patreon.com/hallmarkies to learn more.
That's patreon.com/hallmarkies. But Lucas starts to have flashback.
Yes, after he gets so angry.
Yeah, and so it's a little bit fuzzy, this first one.
Yeah.
But he's starting to see it.
He's remembering some things.
Yeah, and I thought they did a good job in both these episodes of giving Lucas a pretty good arc. And so I feel like Team Lucas fans will hopefully be pretty satisfied in him. Like, he's such a good person, and
yes,
they gave him something to do.
Yeah, I was. Yeah. And I thought, though, I was kind of mad. Like, wasn't she upset Elizabeth broke up with him because she had to leave? And I'm like, he's still there.
That's true.
He hasn't left.
It is true.
But he's got a great arc, and it really has some emotional moments, some big decisions, some apologies, and then it's good.
So then we this is when they find after Angela tells them, then they go. Allie goes to visit, tries to see her father, and then they find her. She's crying, and he didn't want to see me.
Oh, and I love that he scoops her up, and Nathan starts with love instead of being like, complete, you know, because
True.
sometimes emotions, especially in men, I think, but also in women, whatever the underlying emotion is, it comes out in whatever it was, worry or concern. It can come out as anger,
Yeah.
or, you know, like, when in the deep down he was worried, and now he feels so bad for her. And he scoops her up and she says, "Can we go home now?" And that's really
Yeah.
funny.
Because they can deal with the lying and the sneaking off and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Because that's
But
just like
right.
symptomatic of a larger problem, right?
Yes. She wants
Yeah.
to be loved. She
Yeah.
feels rejected. Yeah.
And they can have some kind of punishment later on.
Exactly. Which they need to work through. But right now, in that
Hmm.
moment, she needed acceptance for,
Yeah.
we
She
love
needed
you.
to
We
feel
care about
loved.
you. Yeah. We're therapists, Rachel.
Because that would be really hard to
That'd be
be,
so
rejected by,
hard.
especially
It's,
because she probably kind of built it up and she had this sort of image of what this was going to be like.
Mhm.
And then for him to not want to see her, that would be really hard.
I know. Girls especially need fathers in their lives.
Hmm.
And I'm so grateful she has Nathan, but deep down she thought, why doesn't he want me? Why doesn't
Yeah.
this man who was my birth father want me? And it was very sad.
Yeah. Yeah. So then this is when Lee and Maisie write the statement about the resort
That's right.
that ends up in the newspaper, and Lucas is furious
Oh,
about it.
yeah. Edwin
But
goes, "What is the circulation of this rag?"
yeah.
And that's when Lucas was ticked and starts throwing stuff. And he has another flashback because he's so
Hmm.
emotional. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's when he has like a more vivid
Yeah.
flashback.
We see that Jeanette was there.
Yeah, with
This lady that's been slinking into his office, purring Lucas, was actually there
yeah,
when he was
Jeanette
shot.
is there. Lucas is very upset about it, and this there's the Shaw guy. Lucas
Casimir Shaw.
fought with the Shaw.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, "You were there when I was shot." And she says
Mm-hmm.
Shaw threatened to kill her if she didn't help him launder money.
Yeah.
And so she says, "Come on, just run a little rum money through
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
territory. It'll be
Just do
no
it.
big deal."
Yes. And she's like, trying to tell him, cooperate or we're as good as dead. We have to do this,
Uh-huh.
you know?
And she grabbed the gun and it went off, and she says, "If I hadn't been there, then it would have and not just hit your, where it hit you."
What shoulder? It would have been like heart instead of shoulder or
Uh-huh.
something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 And so then that's Casimir Shaw is behind your bid. It's a way to launder money, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like that's a good name, Casimir Shaw.
Oh,
They
it's
did a good
so
job with
good.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's so good.
I still think it would have been more fun if it had been Edwin, but
I
if it
know.
had been a mole, I think it would have been a little bit more fun than just
But
some no name. But
yeah.
I guess there is kind of a mole with Jeanette.
Not true.
Like
Yeah.
somebody we have gotten to know a little bit.
Yeah. That was yeah, it was supposed to be kind of a twist. It's like, oh, she
Hmm.
was there,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so then Nathan tells Allie, he says, "Watching you grow up has been the greatest joy of my life. He's a fool for throwing away his chance to be your dad.
Oh,
His
so
loss is
sweet.
my gain."
That was so
So sweet.
sweet.
It was
That
so
was
sweet.
so, so sweet. I
Yeah. So
loved
sweet.
that. I
Yeah.
love that example of just love and kind of this true fatherhood because he's stayed. He's
Hmm.
been his loss is my gain. I
Yeah.
wrote down, I love this scene.
Yeah. And I mean, we all choose to love our children, whether no matter how they come into our lives. But I do think there is something extra special in a situation like this where he didn't have to. I mean,
Yeah, that's
you
true.
know, like
Yeah.
he extra chose.
Yes. Oh, and I read way too many. I keep bringing up Anne Shirley, but I read way too many Lucy Maud Montgomery short stories. She
Uh-huh.
wrote about 500. And
Yeah.
there's sometimes these themes in her short stories of somebody who has to be given over to a caretaker, like an aunt or like an extended relative, and they're treated poorly.
Yeah.
And that theme runs through some of her stories. And when it doesn't, when it shows a true loving relationship, it's just a beautiful lesson there.
That's true. Even with Anne,
Yeah, she had it in her own life.
Yeah.
Lucy Montgomery did, and then Anne, is for the first 11 years of her life handed off person to person, and then
servant to the Hammonds.
Yes, and then she gets to the Cuthberts, and then they end up growing to love her, and it's perfect.
So good. He came after Montague because he saw him as competition.
Oh yeah.
So, and then we have this whole scene that Nathan thanks Elizabeth, and Elizabeth says, "I'm here for both of you." And then we finally get our dinner date. This is so exciting.
Yes, they're on a date.
It only took 5 years, but they are eating a meal together.
In a house, sitting down, a meal.
Gosh.
That's all we wanted. Yes. And we got it. Well, we wanted other things, and we got those too next episode.
Yeah.
But finally, we're to this point. And it was a weird thing where he invites her for dinner and then says, "Can you bring dinner?" And it was cute. But I wrote down looking, so cozy.
Yeah. Well, she's like, "Oh, I'm cooking anyway," kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was this weird, anyway. Okay, you come, you just come in with the food. But it was so cute around the table with the kids. And I thought that's kind of what people were pointing out last season that she was kind of yearning for. You remember when she saw him playing with Allie and Jack?
Yeah.
And anyway.
Yeah, that's true. That was that scene where he saw it.
Yeah.
And so it was nice. It was just like, yay. She actually is cooking for him.
Yeah. And I found it a kind of interesting parallel dinner scene with what we see with Mike Hickham's sisters and mom, and that kind of family dynamic.
Yeah.
And then this little, hopefully soon to be family dynamic around their little table. So I don't know. I just
and then also it was so sweet to see Faith and Lily.
Yes.
Because Dora comes back, she comes home, and then Dora says she's so happy with you. And so she asks if Lily can stay with Faith, which is so sweet. And
I know,
I for a long time was hoping that When Calls the Heart would do a Love Come Softly arc. In that series, it was always older children getting adopted by a couple.
Oh yes.
And then usually it would end up being then the next movie would focus on that adopted child, and then
it grows.
Yeah. But they haven't really done much of that. I guess Nathan and Allie a little bit, but I feel like this is kind of a little bit of that sort of influence and arc.
Yeah, that's not the same author, is it? Jeanette Oak, or Love Comes Softly is another author, I think.
No, I think it's the same.
Is it the same? Okay,
yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, the Canadian writer. So that would I know I really like that idea. So if Hallmark's listening,
Jeanette Oak,
yeah. Oh, and Jeanette Oak, completely different,
right.
Different Jeanettes. Different temperaments.
I didn't even think of that.
Of what they put out in the world.
I didn't even think of Jeanette.
Yeah, why did they choose the name of their, homage to
anyway. But Lily, I mean, what a win. I mean, they're so great at casting children, but this was one of their best. She's just
so cute. With her little Rufus dog, and I can stay with you, Auntie Faith. I'm like, you're so cute.
And she's like, Grandma cooks much better than you.
That was pretty funny. That was pretty funny. I wonder how far away she lives, Grandma, because they'll go over for Sunday dinner.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. They didn't really say, but it sounded like it was close, or could be close.
No, and that'll be good. So she still has her grandma, and she also has Faith. Yeah. Yeah, win-win.
Yeah, so that was good. And then we have, Lucas, he's getting worried about Jeanette and Jeanette's safety. And he says to her, you need to find us someplace to disappear.
Yes. He even makes her drive out, and he said, this is where I get out. Bye-bye. Disappear. It's almost like he wants to pat the back of the car like a horse, like, get out of here,
Yeah. And because he's a good man, even this person that he really doesn't like. He doesn't want harm to happen to her.
I know. Wasn't that interesting where he could
Yeah.
really be like, yeah, but he was looking out for her and saying,
Mm-hmm.
hey, get out, stay safe, change your life, really.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And so then that's sort of the lighter part of this episode was May cooking for Mike's family.
yeah.
It turns out all his sisters, I think he has 4 sisters, are all there, plus his
Or
mom.
5. Was it 4 or
Was it
5?
4? Was it 5?
There were so many women.
There were a lot.
They
Yeah.
all show up and they're looking at him and he's like,
Yeah.
And then May to cook for them. So that was so funny how it like twisted. Like Maisie just like made it all loop around to great. We'll be over at such and such, and you're cooking. And
Yeah.
she's like, I guess I'm cooking.
And you know what's really interesting? So there's a great channel on YouTube called Tasting History where
You've talked about that.
Yeah, where he makes different recipes from the past. Like he's really great. And he does all different periods. He doesn't stick to just like one time period. He'll do like one from like ancient Egypt and one from like the 1920s and just all over.
Yeah.
And it was interesting today. He posted a video of the Old West biscuits and gravy. And particularly it was during the gold rush. It was a recipe for during the gold rush. And what was interesting is he's said that during that time period, which wouldn't have been that far off of, this time period, they had a lot of the people that were cooking the food in the like in California, in some of these places, were people from were like immigrants. And so so there was actually more of a, like, it wasn't just like steak and potatoes like you might think.
Might be
that
diverse.
Like chop suey was really popular, he was saying, which was interesting because there were a lot of Chinese cooks. That there was a lot of Irish food that was popular, and that a lot of Mexican food was very popular. Yeah. And so they'd have these buffets and stuff, basically. And you would see like all these different cultures represented within, and they'd have like the taverns and the bars, saloons, whatever, would have a complimentary lunch that you could get along with your drink. And they would have a lot of these different cultures because that's who the cooks were. And I just thought that was very interesting. Never thought about that, like you don't think about that like in a Old West, movie or show, them eating chop suey. Like,
I know. No, because you wouldn't really. I think of 7 by 7 Brothers and got any more of that stew? My stew can stand on its own feet. But then I think of the stories I read about the building of the Golden Spike, or the Transcontinental Railroad, and there were a lot of Chinese and Irish workers there, and who were there that in the past seemed underrepresented in the history books until they said, look, they were there too.
It makes sense once you think about it, but I just
interesting to think about, like coming in and having some of these different flavors and foods. So
yeah. So anyway, it might not have been, because at first when I saw that they were doing this, I was like, there's no way that they would have even had like the ingredients and their stuff. But like,
yes, but
now that I
saw
that, I was like, you know what? There probably actually were quite a few like Chinese cooks like in this area. Like that probably wasn't that crazy. Yeah. So I thought that was interesting. And of course they love her food. They love her cooking.
Yes.
And that's when Mike says, they love your food and they love you. And so do I.
Yes.
Aww, adorable.
Super cute.
It's really
Mike
cute.
Peak when calls the heart. These 2
really
episodes for Mike, that was did he do like a pause and like a swallow, like where he just kind of was a little bit nervous?
It was cute.
And so do I.
Ben did a good job with that. Yeah. So really good. And they have good chemistry. I would not have thought to put them together, but it works.
Yes. If we like going back to like our preview, or even looking like last season we were talking, would we have pictured this? And it's been working so well.
Really good. Yeah. That's true. So yeah, I would give this episode like, just because I think the stuff with Allie worked, like I would give it like an 8.
Yeah.
I think
probably at 8.25, 8.5. Yeah.
Okay. I'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's Baker Publishing Group and author Jenny Erlingson and her debut novel, Her Part to Play. Desperate for extra income, Adane accepts a last-minute job as a makeup artist for a movie that's filming in her small Alabama hometown. But the money hardly seems worth having to face the actor who got her fired from her last job in Hollywood. Sparks fly on and off the set, but will either of them follow the pull of their hearts? We know you will love this swoon-worthy romance with the relationship between the movie star and the makeup artist. You can purchase Her Part to Play wherever you get your books online, or right now you can get 30% off and free shipping at bakerbookhouse.com. That's 30% off and free shipping at bakerbookhouse.com, or use the link below. Okay, then we have Run to You, it's episode 11. Nathan and Bill take charge when a notorious gangster threatens the town. Rosemary teams up with her competition to uncover the truth, and Elizabeth and Nathan take a leap of faith.
Oh, now I know what they're talking about. I was like, what are they talking about? Oh, that leap.
So we were talking in our little group chat amongst the co-hosts that not only is this peak When Calls the Heart, it might be
like
it's like top 5.
It's up there.
Yeah, like Casey, she was saying it might be the best episode ever of the show.
Oh gosh, it's pretty close.
It's in that conversation.
This one, so much happens. So much happens.
Yeah, like if this episode of the show doesn't win you over, then you're either like just too far gone with your dislike of Nathan, which whatever. You're either there or you're just not. This is just not the show.
It's not the show for you.
If you don't like this episode, then
you're a skeptical grumpy pants and just
find another
show. Yeah, just find another one, because this was like
this is it. This is as good as it gets.
I was watching it a little bit later, and I wanted to call up my sweet neighbor across the street who's 75, and I knew she was in bed already, and I wanted to be like, "Are you watching this?"
Yeah. No, it's true. After being frankly fairly devastated by Bridgerton earlier, I watched this and I was just like,
things are happening. I love all these people. Yeah, exactly.
It was great. And so it starts out, the towns aren't merging anymore, and I was just like, what?
That's dead.
I mean, that just seems crazy to me, that the only reason would be one resort that you'd merge principalities. That's seems wild, but
maybe they'll revisit that discussion for something else. But no, I think it's
I mean, because since Macy didn't want to do it anyway, I guess
and Lee's really changing his mind on a lot of things, and saying never mind.
And so then Rosemary is just very suspect. She is very frustrated, trying to figure everything out, and that's when this Randall comes.
Randall Rockwell
from the Benson Beetle, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And so they end up starting to work together, and they were fun. I liked that dynamic.
I did too. This print expose, that he sang, and that was a really good dynamic. It's sometimes it's fun to bring in someone to kind of see the different, see Rosemary's side come out, and it was good.
Is that nice for you when you do get a co-reporter help you with a project?
Yeah, because sometimes you can be so competitive, but then when you're working together, you're just like, we've expanded our abilities here, and it's just like, oh, I'm not alone in this drudgery of trying to hunt down facts and people, and to have somebody with you, I love it.
Yeah.
So I loved watching that.
Yeah. One of the things I appreciated the most about this episode is that they all acknowledged that Nathan has been unreasonable, ridiculous.
My husband was saying that for like 2 days. He's like, slower than molasses in winter. Everybody says it. Finally, they're like, that's enough.
That's Bill. He says, you really do move like molasses in January.
That's what it was. And Rosie's like, this is beyond slow and steady.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's trepidatious. You need to.
Yeah.
And we've been saying that now for multiple seasons.
We have been.
You gotta make a move. And yeah, he did make a move as far as telling her he loved her in season 8, but
yeah,
you
but
need
have
to
some
do
confidence
even more
now. Like, I kept thinking about this. I thought, what? But was he so hurt and he's so worried that he had to wait for her to say okay? But she kind of has dropped all the hints.
Yeah,
friends
she
don't
literally
look like
told him, I don't look at my friends that way.
like this. And then another thing she'd said. And so it's just, it's just come on, any red-blooded man seeing this gorgeous woman that he really likes should just move forward.
Yeah, it's and Bill says time is a finite resource. Make the move. Yes, thank you, Bill.
Bill is so funny. Just sometimes you just need a little wake up, and they got it to him.
And Elizabeth asks him to go for a ride.
Oh yeah, and Lee and Rosemary were so hilarious about that.
Yeah,
we got to go exercise the horses. Oh,
yeah. Well, and sometimes people are weird about the women making the move,
right?
And now, I mean, all rules are out the window, so who cares? But in my opinion, like, I just think I'd rather just go for it, and I feel like the kind of person that I would want to be with would respect that move. And so if somebody were like uncomfortable with the fact of me taking the initiative, that's not the kind of person I would want to be with anyway.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's a good point. And honestly, like, we've talked about this before, if this was in a time period where you would have these rules of courtship and propriety, then this slowness makes sense. But it's not, because she was completely making out with Lucas. So we've pointed that out before. Right. But yeah, that idea
she's a widow. Like, she's big. It's not like she is Allie or something, you know what I mean? Who's never been with, as a young, she's in a mature, experienced, has been married before woman. Like, it is different. It's like the difference between like Lady Mary later in Downton Abbey, like, she's already been married. She already, like, it's not the same as when the show starts.
Yes, true. That's very true.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Anyway, and so she asks him to the ride, and then we see Edwin leaving. So I guess that's him.
Going for another job. Interview.
That's end of him for the show. They could have done more fun things with him. I still think it would have been fun.
I know.
But that Lucas stopped listening to me a long time ago, and you made sure of that. And this is what Edwin says to Henry. So
that's true. He did. Yeah, because Henry's just moved right on in.
I mean, Henry is now quite
trusted advisor.
Yeah, he really is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everybody wants his advice. And
yeah. So Lily needs a nightlight, and this was cute.
That was
really
little plot.
Cute.
The stars. You can see the stars from your grandma's window, can't you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That was cute.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, Hardy, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies.
Yeah. So May gets a letter from her brother.
Yeah, it's Bo, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think
he's
been in the Merchant Marines, which my grandfather was in the Merchant Marines in the late 30s, early 40s.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
And then he moved from that to the Navy.
He's going to be at Capital City, right? Capital City,
or
anyway,
Fullerton.
Oh, Fullerton.
Or something.
He's going to be in town,
close by.
Yeah, for just a couple of days. and so she wants to go visit him. She tells Mike, and it gets him thinking.
He's thinking.
Yeah,
nobody's moving slow here, even though I guess
Right.
they'd remember though in the beginning when we were like, we've been dating for 5 months, and they like hold hands, and we're like, oh,
Right.
okay.
Yeah,
But
I was kind of
he's
worried because I was like, are they
Yeah.
going to be able to pull off a wedding in 3 episodes?
Yeah.
But there
But
we go.
girl, we're not getting a lot of wedding planning now, like so this is just gonna let's make this happen.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And so then we have Bill talking to Rosemary. You're just going to have to trust me.
and she goes, "Suppress."
Yeah. And so that's been a win this season, I think, Bill and Rosemary.
It has been the best pairing.
Mm-hmm.
They are so good together. I mean, there's chemistry between like romantic leads, and then there's chemistry between like these two, and they have it in spades. Bill, come back to me. Come talk to me. But their whole like going together, or like when she would walk into his office and he'd be like startled. So many good moments between these two.
Yeah.
And
I
think
like
she,
it. I like the friendship.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's been a really good friendship.
I really do. And so, yeah, then Randall is there, and Lucas, he doesn't want to talk about things, but then Jeanette shows up again. He's like, why are you here?
Oh, she slinks back in. Gonna choose some more scenery. I didn't get enough the first time.
And I do think that the actress, she did a good job playing that like kind of 1920s femme fatale kind of thing. She was good.
Leaned into it.
Yeah. She was good. She like kind of had like Lauren Bacall-ish energy.
Yes, good spot. That kind of like play it again, Sam. You know? Kind of like yes.
Bergman, yes. So
that Lauren Bacall,
I just watched Casablanca last week. I finished for the patrons. I've been doing the AFI Passions.
Oh yeah, the
films.
100. Yeah,
every Sunday been reviewing them, and I just they have Casablanca #1.
Okay,
I just finished. It'll be 2 years, and I just finished the project. So I just watched Casablanca last
okay. I was thinking of also that made me think of To Have and Have Not, which is Lauren Bacall and Humphrey Bogart. So I think I got the two mixed up, but they're both really good.
Yeah, Ingrid Bergman too.
Yeah, but Jeanette is totally into that 1920s. Like I'm, a woman finding like her voice. Well, she has more than that. By the end, we recognize who she is. But what does she say? Oh, I wrote this down. So she's trying to talk Lucas into being illegal, right? To be a bad guy.
We could be anyone we want.
Yes. And he says, what I want is to be a good man.
Yeah.
An honest man.
It was a good moment.
Oh, it was so good. I'm not the person you used to know. That theme of change and changing who you are and being a better person. Love that.
Yeah.
So
and he sees the notes and stuff have Jeanette's handwriting.
And matches.
Yeah. So you threaten Randall's family. You threaten people.
Gosh, awful.
Yeah.
And then we've got Nathan, Henry, Bill, or we got all the men and all being ready to investigate and look into this. And then she's like signaling with her mirror.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I was so mad.
Yeah, and then the Shaw guy, he storms in.
Yeah.
And that she's in cahoots with him, and you could be anyone you want to be. Who knew she'd take me so literally?
Yes. I wrote down like I'm taking notes in the moment, and I'm like, hold on. Both Rosie and Elizabeth are in the saloon. Jeanette says Kashmir is the bad guy, but she sure acts like she's in charge. And my brain starts to think, wait a minute.
I did kind of laugh a little bit. Like, how many times can Elizabeth be taken hostage in the saloon?
I know.
Like, I mean, they keep coming to this.
It's either a saloon or a cabin in the woods, but most of the time it's a saloon.
Yeah, it's happened.
Somebody teach the girl martial arts by now. I mean, if you're going to be and just a quick like and knock the gun out of their hand and give them a in Miss Congeniality, sing right, solar plex, instep, nose, groin.
She needs Gracie Lou Freebush.
Yeah,
teach her how.
Yeah, she needs just a little because all of a sudden she's like frozen, and I would freeze. But if she's being held hostage at gunpoint or whatever that many times, learn some just quick moves.
Right.
Get
Well,
out
I
of
mean,
it.
you just gotta catch. It'd be harder with two assailants there. That holding them
Yes,
up. That would be
that's
harder. But
true. Yeah.
but yeah, you just gotta catch them off guard, I guess.
Yeah.
Is the
Or work
thing.
together, you and,
Yeah,
Rosemary, and just
or
be
make some
like,
kind of noise so that people could hear you or something.
something.
Yeah, but it just kind of made me laugh. I'm like, we've seen this exact scene
We have
multiple
that,
times.
that poor saloon. It goes from like a kid's school to like this happy place where we have community
Baby
dinners and everybody
showers.
loves it, baby showers, and then it's like dark and dangerous.
Yeah, absolutely. So then we have Mike deciding that Hickam deciding that May's brother's going to be in town. They need to
Yeah.
take advantage of the opportunity.
Yeah.
He does what Nathan has not been able to do up to this point, and he says, "Will you marry me? I love
Oh,
you. Let's do it." And it was
that's
great.
and it's framed by the flower arch. Stop it. So sweet. And he's so nervous. He's like swallowing. I need to talk to you. And she's like, yeah, what is it? And he's like kneels down. I'm like, yay.
It was, I put it on
Swoony.
Twitter, peak When Calls the Heart.
Peak.
It was absolutely great.
Oh,
because
so
this is a
cute.
character with Hickam that we've come to care about.
We really have.
He's been with us, I think, from the beginning.
I just know he was always, for a while I'd forget about him because he was quiet or didn't have much to do. And then he's just grown and blossomed.
Yeah.
And he's a man in love.
Yeah, I think he was on the first season, right? He's been since the very beginning, I'm pretty sure.
Guess so. I gotta look that up.
Yeah, it's very exciting to see him happy.
So exciting. And she was so sweet. She didn't panic like she had a few midway when she was like, it's not you, it's me. I'm just a little hesitant. She was all in like, yeah.
Yeah.
So
it was
and
great.
then do a big smoochy kiss, as Bluey says. Smoochy kiss.
And the phones are down. That's why they're not able to get like more help about Shaw. To find out what's going on with Shaw. They're kind of isolated.
Yeah.
And so
every man with a gun runs out of town.
Yeah.
I was like, ugh.
And that's when everybody has a gun. Like everybody storms the saloon. It's like, wow.
She even has a little gun. Everybody's got a gun.
Yeah.
And the Mountie, I will say Lucas came off a little bit braver than Nathan at first in the standoff. And maybe that was all orchestrated to be that way.
But that's what I'm saying is I think they were doing that for Lucas fans. Give him his moment. This is it.
Yeah.
And then you can give Nathan the later moment, but I think this was his kind of moment. And I think it was a smart move.
Okay.
Yeah. And he says that I know you won't shoot me, Jeanette.
Oh man, wasn't that amazing? He's staring her right in the eyes as she's
this isn't you. It was
the gun's like pressing his clothing almost, and he's like just looking right at her. Oh
yeah.
Then he hugs her. Wow.
I know the best of you, Jeanette.
Oh wow.
Mm-hmm. It was good.
That was pretty tense. Yeah, intense.
And then we have Elizabeth and Nathan
meanwhile on the balcony.
Yeah, on the balcony fighting people off, and then they fall into the hay wagon. That was very convenient.
Oh, I did have it right there, but then I saw it because he's looking over. I'm like, what's he looking at? But he was planning the whole time.
Yeah.
So it wasn't that he was like didn't know what to do or whatever. He was thinking in his brain, okay, if we do this and this, then we can just go off. And so here's a little side thing that I, for any listeners, comment if you also are into this show. It's called Crash Landing on You on Netflix. It's a K-drama.
Oh, I heard it's good. I haven't seen it.
I'm obsessed. Rachel, I'm obsessed. There's a scene similar to this where the guy grabs the girl and they go sideways off a mountain, but she has a paragliding thing. Oh, so they escape, the bad guys all of a sudden. And it reminded me of that. It's just like the guy just grabs the girl and just whoosh. And you're like, they're falling. And then there is so in Crash Landing on You, it all works out well. And in this, it also works out well. Right into the hay. It was perfect. Yeah. And then they land like facing each other.
Yeah. So Nathan and Elizabeth had their riding date interrupted. And they're like, we always get interrupted.
Everything's interrupted.
Bad timing.
Yeah.
Bad timing.
Timing. Isn't that true?
And then, so after all of this drama has happened, so then she says, I'm so sorry for hurting you, for letting fear get in the way. If you only knew how my heart leaps when I think of you, and I think of you often. That was a good line. That was good.
It was a very good line where she talks about looking for him, and some good lines. Almost wish that he'd been saying some lines like that to her, but maybe he needed to hear those,
Yeah.
like a full on straight up cards on the table.
I mean, I guess because he was the one that has previously said, I love you. So in a way, I guess it makes sense for her to be the one.
Yeah.
But either way, we just needed to get things going. So I'm happy. Whoever needed to do it.
Nathan, I'm in love with you. And then he's like, okay.
You're a good man. Yeah. It's your eyes I look for across a crowded room. It's your heart that makes me feel brave. You feel like home to me.
Oh, man.
Yeah. I mean, come on.
Oh.
What more could you want in a romance show? I mean,
I know.
That's it.
So sweet. And
like I said, if you don't like that, then this is not the show for you.
It's not your show.
Watch something else.
Because if you were not if your face was not hurting from smiling and going, oh, then watch another show. Yeah.
Just watch something else. Yep.
I was like wondering if like Twitter and online like just exploded in that moment. Like,
everybody went nuts.
Yeah. Like,
I couldn't say it before. I wouldn't let myself. So I'm telling you now, I'm in love with you. And then he says it and they kiss.
I never
stopped loving you for not for a single second.
Swoony.
Yeah, this is great. I mean, it's really good. And they did a good job. They they sold it.
They did.
They sold it.
There was nothing where you were like, oh, it was like, oh.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So that was this episode. And it's going to be super fun, the finale with our wedding.
Yeah.
And I assume we'll probably get a proposal.
Maybe.
I would think.
I mean, let's, now that we've warmed up the molasses, let's get it going. Let's pour it out of the jar.
I think we will. I would be surprised if we don't. Yeah. That they'll end it on with a proposal. But I guess we'll see.
Yeah, maybe they need to date now officially. And that'll be all next season.
Yeah.
We'll get
they've had a meal together and they've kissed. It's huge. I can't ask for too much.
You're jumping too far for a proposal. How dare you?
Really?
It's many episodes down the road.
Yeah.
So we can't involve little Jack with a proposal. It'll just have to be something different.
I think that I think that we will. I think they will. But nevertheless, we're going to get the May and Hickam wedding. It's going to be awesome. And I can't wait.
Yes. And the preview showed Fiona coming back.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Which I think is so sweet. So nice. I can't wait for this finale.
Yeah. So that was this episode. I mean, I give this a 10. This was 10. This is it.
For sure. Maybe even it goes to 11.
Yeah.
It was 10 stars. I mean, things just happened. It was so satisfying. It was so sweet. Mm-hmm. It was exciting.
Yeah. Yeah. So let us know what you think of these two episodes. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section or on Twitter. And if you agree that this was as good as When It Comes to Heart gets, and we'd love to hear what you think. And Mary, how can people follow you?
All right. So on Twitter, I'm @_Mary Richards, Instagram, Mary Richards Reports, and on Facebook, Reporter Mary Richards.
Great. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all of our social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So check that out. Also, make sure you're following the podcast, Hallmarkies Pod and Hallmarkies Podcast, all of our social media. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. That really helps us a lot. And if you are watching on YouTube, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate that so much. We also have our Patreon group. We're doing tonight, when this airs tonight, we will be having our Patreon watch along for this month we're watching Well Suited for Christmas, which is so good with writer Wendy Stewart. So you will love it. So join the Patreon. We sure appreciate it. And we also have the merch store, which has tons of Hardy's inspired merch. So check that out. And thanks so much, everybody. We'll talk to y'all later. Bye.
Bye.